Broadcasting. Hello, everybody. As you start to join us and to pop onto this call, I will be announcing what this is and who this is with in just a moment, but hello as you are starting to join us. And as you're starting to join us, would you please, oh, look, somebody already liked us on Facebook. As you're starting to join us, would you please type into to the panelists, where are you calling in from? So we have a sense, because it's been really fun. We've been getting people from the East Coast, from the West Coast, from England. So we'd love to hear where you all are calling in from. And then I will announce who our guest coach and guest speaker today is. Okay, so we've got Sparks, Nevada, Seattle, Bay Area, California, Palo Alto, Costa Rica. Hello, welcome to Costa Rica. Very excited. Seattle, UK. Okay, wonderful. So we will get started. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Daily Strategies for Working Remotely. Today we have someone fabulous. We have Sandy Lewis. Hello, Sandy.
Hi.
We have Sandy. Sandy is one of our executive coaches and has been with us a really long time. And the talk today is when, you just say it, Sandy, you say the name of it.
Okay, it's from Jon Kabat-Zinn. You can't stop the waves, but you can learn to surf.
So here we are for the next 20 minutes with Sandy on specific tools on learning to surf in this time. And then you'll have a very clear Q&A time afterwards, which is optional, but we encourage you to stay. Here you are with Sandy for the next 20 minutes. Welcome, Sandy.
Hi, thank you, Sonia. So this quote from Jon Kabat-Zinn, he started, I think, the mindfulness-based stress reduction program years ago. He's a coach, meditation teacher, and author. So you can't stop the waves, but you can learn to surf. And what I love about this is kind of how to look at life. And I'll narrow this down in a minute. But you think about waves, right? There's the ebb when the ocean's going out, and then there's the waves coming in. And so they're going to happen no matter what. And if you think about being in the water, and I don't surf, but I know how to body float around these, you know, sometimes you get caught in the undertow and sometimes you're able to float. And so if you think about it, there's the natural rhythm of life too, right? We've got the natural rhythm of waves. And I'm going to come back to that in a second. So what I wanted to talk about is that so many of us are working from home now. And I, over time, having done it myself for 6 years now, had to learn my own natural rhythms with working from home. And so my question is, what if we leave this time having learned about our natural rhythms? What would that growth look like? What would we look like at home? What would we look like at work when we go back into the office if we understood kind of more of where we're coming from? So I've been on my own for the last 6 years, and before that I was a corporate executive. So I was running left and right, I was up and down, I was driven by external factors, my daily commute in, the office meetings that I had to have, even just the coffee breaks. So I never learned kind of who I was. And so then, as a wild extrovert and type A personality, I'm working from home. And I really struggled in the beginning, and I still do sometimes. I would have kind of high days and low days, and I couldn't really understand where they were coming from. And I'd beat myself up a lot, frankly. I have this limiting belief that still crops up that I should be productive 100% of the time. And you know, social media is telling me that too, you know, 100-fold, that right now I should be learning 5 different languages. I should be gourmet cooking and expanding my business by 80% of the time, or by 80% just during this time of kind of lockdown, if you will, right, of social and physical isolation. So the external factors are there, right? The waves are riding. And so what is it like when we're understanding our own energy with all this, right? So we don't have those external factors as present as we used to, right? We definitely have kids and we have these other things, but we now have our own rhythms that we could identify. And so I want to share today how I see my own rhythms and some tools that I learned how to identify and run through them with. So I'm an extrovert, as I said, probably 20 times. And when I have a really on day, which is facilitating or running group coaching sessions or running a talk, I'm really energized and I'm happy, I'm in flow. That's when I'm at my best. And then I didn't realize at the time that this was happening, but now I know the next day, pretty much by clockwork, I can judge it. The next day I wake up and I'm feeling foggy, I'm feeling tired, I might feel distracted and kind of low. And what I know now is that I've got a real on day, the top of the wave, the flow, and then the next day I'm going to have an ebb day. And that's not as comfortable for me. So one of the tools that I bring to this time, and I've used with clients a lot, is from Tara Brach. She's a meditation coach and teacher, and very, very renowned in the field. And it's a mnemonic that's called RAIN. And so I'm sorry, I did have to pull my notes up. So what RAIN is to step back, and it's RAIN. And this is a tool that I learned to be more objective with where I am and pull myself out of the self-flagellation or whatever I might naturally engage in without this tool. So R, the letter R, is to recognize what's happening. So, okay, I'm recognizing that I might have to look at how am I feeling, and then what am I telling myself? Oh, I might be having a low day. Yesterday, I ran a workshop. Today's low. So I'm just recognizing it. And this is to make it a bit more objective, right? Not with feelings. The letter A is allowing the experience to be there. Just allowing it. No judgment, just allowing it to be there just as it is. And then the letter I is investigate with interest and care. This is a point of kind of self-compassion without going too deeply into it. It's just saying, let me ask a few new questions, perhaps. I'm just going to investigate this a little bit. Oh, so it's Wednesday. I had talks on Monday and Tuesday. What might I be looking at? Am I really a failure? Which comes up. That's always lurking in the back of my head. Again, that limiting belief that I should be 100% productive. No, I'm not a failure, really. I've had a productive week. So I'm investigating it with interest and care. And the N is nurture with self-compassion. So with this, it's looking at how can I stay in this and still have a good day? Let me nurture this with self-compassion. So it's giving some energy to it and love and care. And so RAIN, again, is recognizing what's happening, allowing the experience to be there just as it is, and nurturing, investigating with interest and care, and then nurturing with self-compassion. So what this does for me with the bit of objectivity is we know from positive psychology, it shifts me ever so slightly into more positive emotion. I'm not looking for wild joyfulness at this point. I'm not looking for, 100% productivity, but it's just a shift that starts to move me a little bit. It sets me away from my feelings of angst or whatever I would have put myself in. And so with that, then I'm a little bit more creative. How might I use this day? And so then I'm more creative and I start thinking more, and then I might reframe this. Okay, it's not a terrible day. It's an ebbing day. It's a lower day. What might I do today that is still going to feed me? And in this case, it might be more kind of introverted activities. I might say, I might research something. I might play with writing something that I have to do, or something that puts me in flow. So now I'm again in more positive emotions, so I can be a bit more creative on this lower energy day. And then also I can, with this mindset shift, my days are better, and I understand and I'm able to balance my energy in a way that's not self-defeating, but it's self, I don't know, it makes me feel better. And it really does feel like if I'm not surfing, maybe I'm riding an inner tube on the waves, whatever that is, but I'm allowing myself to just be with it and not suffer with pain. So that's what I wanted to share. It's not quite 20 minutes. Sonia, feel free to pop on with any questions. I hope this was helpful.
Thank you. So I'm going to ask the first question, and feel free to type in your own question either into the Q&A or into the chat. This is like your own personal coaching session with Sandy Lewis. So go ahead and type in your questions. Sandy, I really love this phrase. I'm going to actually read it because, you know, I get it wrong each time. You can't stop the waves, but you can learn to surf. You're saying that you're using this framework of rain as a way of surfing on the waves. Is that right? What else have you used? What else have you used when it is this crazy time and you are thinking, how can I surf on it?
Well, I think then there's the physical things, right? So making sure that I step back into healthy habits, right? So sometimes I get so outwardly focused that I'll forget, I'll drink too much coffee, you know, I'm really focused on how happy the client is, and then I stop the self-care. I'm not meditating, and this is a pattern. I'm not meditating, I'm not going for walks or exercising, and I can get all in my head. And my head is not a healthy place to be. So kind of dial me back. What am I doing for myself? Am I in good relationships, right? Am I talking to people, or am I really narrowly focused and nervous?
So you're saying in addition to this rain, which is kind of a calming and a taking the edge off mechanism, in addition to that, one other thing you look at is, am I having healthy habits with respect to physical healthy habits, but also relationship healthy habits?
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. Here is a question that has come in from North Carolina, which is near you. How can I better identify my own patterns? I'm likely to attribute it to coffee, sleep, etc. I'm not quite sure what the person means by identify their own patterns, but I wonder if they mean their own healthy surfing patterns.
Yeah, I can get it. So when do we, first of all, it's looking at back to the healthy habits, right? When we take coffee or alcohol or whatever stimulants or depressants, we might not even know what our own patterns are. So that's where some self-investigation does come into play. And I think without as much external drivers as we normally have, it's a real opportunity to step back and ask those questions. We think about appreciative inquiry, right? What might it be like if I was under my own steam? What might it be like if or wouldn't it be nice if, right? Wouldn't it be nice if I kind of knew my own rhythm? Wouldn't it be nice if I was able to use this later on, kind of flipping that a little bit? And it's, I think, knowing yourself too, and reaching out to your friends and family. Okay, am I coffeeed up, or am I just anxious? Right? Am I doing this every morning at 9 a.m. after my coffee, or is this normal? So using others, I think, would be a good tool too.
So you may not be the best judge of your
Exactly.
own habits. I get it. Okay. Okay. You've mentioned this, recognize what's happening, allow experience. When you're working with clients, when you're working with coaching clients, what are you finding to be the stress points right now?
Oh, yeah. I think one of the big stress points is not knowing when to stop. So they're just feeding off that external drive. And what we're doing is, in organizations, I'm seeing a few things. People are having a lot more meetings because we can't just poke our head in, or maybe they're going to Slack something, but instead they're going to have a meeting. So people are having 11, 12-hour days full of meetings, and they can't get their work done. So they don't shut their laptop off at the end of the day, or they have work as a presence in their home now, So I've seen people work out of their kids' bedrooms. I've seen people work out of their dining rooms, their living rooms, wherever that is, and they're not able to shut it off. So again, that's another natural rhythm thing. If we listen to ourselves and listen to our bodies and our hearts, we can go, you know what, it's time to be with my family right now. The other thing is not asking questions about priorities. I think both the leaders that I'm working with may be still operating under the same, they might not have explained clearly that priorities have shifted. Yeah. And the employees may be operating under January 2020 priorities, when in fact now, March, April priorities with COVID have shifted. And so there's a lot of still operating without asking questions for guidance.
Yeah. So it sounds like you're saying one is this over meetingicizing that we're doing. So instead of just saying hello to someone, let's do a meeting, and we don't give ourselves breaks. And as right. Coaches, we know when we're meeting with our clients, they have not had time to stretch, even though they're at home. You would expect they would be, sort of stretching or going for a half walk, but no, it's really back to back. That's one thing you're seeing. And the second one you're seeing is just that things are new, but have we messaged it? Have the leaders messaged it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. It's really important to step back and think about, who do I have to communicate with? Who do I need to ask questions of right now?
We have a bunch of questions for you. So here's one. How do you share with others what your own ebbs and flows are so that we can respect each other's rhythms and manage expectations?
So that's a really good question. I think I like to share things affirmatively, but honestly. So I might just start out saying, you know what, just so you know, I'm just having a bit of a lower day or something like that. I like to let people know because, you know, humans, we're so responsive to each other that I don't want people to misread my reaction to them. So I tend to be upfront about it, which again requires me to accept it myself first.
Well, but also it's helpful. It sounds like it's helpful to you because you mentioned several times, I'm an extrovert. So even just processing that outside of me, like, here's what's going on. How are you?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you've heard me say that too. I think I used to call them fetal position days, right? Like I would just feel like I was in a fetal position. And I thought, I better figure out how to work with this.
Sandy is very honest, folks. She is very, very direct and very honest. Okay, we've got another question for you. How, wow, this is a really interesting question because it actually takes us outside of this COVID-19 time. How should you manage a long commute? Like if you have a 2 to 3 hour commute every day, by applying self-compassion or other tips that may help?
Yeah. Didn't we hear that Kahneman years ago found out in their happiness study that the period of least happiness was during commutes. So people are bored and they're not happy. I really advise using that time to kind of pump ourselves up, whether it's knowledge or good music. Use it as time that, you know, we're not going to have this time again, and we might be in the car for 2 hours, but let's think about how can we use this best. Is it listening to a book on tape? Is it learning a speech? Whatever that is, I think that that's a good time to use that, and it takes us out of that drudge or that dread, I think, of the commute. So how can I raise my emotion a little bit during the commute, I think can be helpful.
So you're saying actually think about yourself during that commute.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well said, Sonia. Well
No,
said.
no,
Yeah.
I like it. I'm just, okay, we just have a bunch of people peppering in. Here's a question for you. Is there a good way to confirm the objectives of an online discussion? When and how should you confirm what your objectives are when you are doing these virtual meetings?
Yeah, I love that. I think I would treat them like, well, we're not all good at meetings. I'll say I'd treat them like a good meeting, but I think that's a whole nother concept. But say it, right? And I think, first of all, be clear whether whether you need to be on the meeting, right? Does the meeting have to happen? Do I have to hold it, and does it have to be held, right? Or it's kind of, do I have to be the one doing it? I'm not doing that correctly.
And may I just add, does it have to be an hour? Can it be a 40-minute
Does it have to be an hour, right? Exactly. So that's why I like to state up front, this is what I'd like to talk about. And then if it's 10 minutes, then let it be 10 minutes. If it's 5 minutes, let it be 5 minutes. But I think not assuming, the mistake we make is assume someone called the meeting, it's on my calendar, I have to show up. And then I don't know what it's about, but I'm still going to show up anyway. So stating what the meeting's about and then how long we think it might be can be really helpful. Being upfront.
So it sounds like you think we should all be our, in a sense, the model. So if we're starting to set 20-minute meetings or 45-minute meetings, maybe it'll be catchy and people will give each other that break between meetings.
Yeah.
Between meetings. Okay, here's one more question. How should people deal with the anxiety? Oh, I just want to say we are at the 11:19, 11:20 point. So thank you to everyone who's joined us for that specific 20 minutes. We are very respectful of your time. We're going to keep going. We've got another question at least. So we're going to keep going for another 10. But if you're joining us again for the rest of the week, we'll see you at 11 a.m. Pacific tomorrow. Thank you, everyone. All right, here we go. How should I deal with the anxiety of not being 100% productive and the impact it's going to have on my job? So how should I, a couple of follow-up questions. How should I deal with the anxiety of talking to, just not having that productivity? And they're already in advance saying, talking to my company or to my manager is not an option. They have this expectation of the 100% productivity.
Okay. Well, I think there's a couple things here too. One is, how are we managing ourselves, right? If we know we're going to have a week that we're slammed all week, and that's not a positive term, but if we know it's going to be a really busy week, how are we taking care of ourselves to reduce our anxiety outside of that? And I think that it's also kind of using our rhythms. Again, I think unless we're on a kind of which some of us might be, right, on some type of what's the word I'm trying to say, like an assembly line where we have to put, point A next to point B 100 times a day, we probably have a little room in there to go, you know what, this is a project that I have some internal parts to do and I've got some external parts to do, or these are some products where there's outputs and inputs. So kind of balancing your day as much as you can. And yeah, and just taking care of yourself. I think these are unique times. And then also think about if you can develop a relationship and listen or ask a bit about what are the productivity goals.
I'll actually ask a follow-up because I've seen this even in my own clients. The follow-up to, some of us, our managers have taken it down a little bit, or they know that we are unavailable at this time because we have to do something with our kids or with our family. But some of us, and I hear this from some people, like my spouse, my husband or my wife, is in meetings 12 hours a day and they can't take a break, and they're not, and there's a lot of pressure. And what if you actually, maybe you're in a role where you can't kind of speak up or even manage that off, or go for a walk and include that? Just how do you even, for a lot of us, it has been a little more flexible in the sense that you can say, I have these boundaries. I can't do this at a certain time. Yeah. But some people just aren't getting that breathing space. What should they do?
Well, what I've seen with my clients is permission sometimes to step off of video, but still be present so they can stand up and stretch. So get some physical movement in there because we are tied to our laptops more. Also, I think there's some,
that's so great, right? Because we're all at meetings and everyone's, you're going to go off video and you're going to go on mute if you need to run to the restroom or to get water. You're going to do that. This is normal. So why not do that to take your own stretch? I think we don't even think about that. We're here, we're present, we're focused, but that's part of going and getting another sip of water. Maybe you need some movement. Really, I don't think people do that.
Yeah. And also, can we have this by call versus Zoom or Citrix, whatever you're using, so then I can maybe take a walk in my backyard. I've done that with clients, right? We'll do walking meetings. So I think just trying to get rid of the tension and anxiety that's in our bodies can be really, really helpful. And then also to that point of reframing it a little bit. Okay, where am I in this project? Right? Okay, am I 10% in and I've got 90% more of this time period to get this project done? Okay, let me start gauging it. Whatever you can do to and give yourself little bits of food along the way, I guess.
Success food. I did this.
Yeah, success
food. Let me ask a question that we usually ask at the end of these. What are you taking away? What one action or one consistent thought will you have after you leave this meeting with Sandy Lewis? So let's take a few comments on that. And as you're doing that, we probably have time to answer one more question. Look, people are already writing in. My coworker and I used to walk in the afternoons, it sounds like together, but now that I am home, I feel guilty just going on a walk around the neighborhood. So this is a little even more prevalent than I had thought. The stress of not going. What are you taking away? What are you going to do as a result of spending 20 minutes with us today? And a few more minutes in Q&A. I'm going to answer first. What am I going to do as a result? I really like, of the rain, there's one that I liked the best. I think it was the end, which was nurture with self-compassion. I really like that idea of, okay, this is lousy, but there you have it. Like, it's okay. This part is lousy and it's still okay.
Yeah, I love that. What can I control, right? And to those bosses that won't give us time and space, okay, it's what it is.
What else do we have? We have people saying they're going to nurture myself by transforming some of the challenging times in my life, like COVID and the long commute. Okay, wonderful.
Oh, good.
Yeah. I'm going to take my dog for a walk and then have lunch. That's perfect. I think this person is on the West Coast. Go for it. Do it. Nurturing yourself with self-compassion. And here's another comment, which is definitely taking time to investigate my own rhythms a bit more so that you can then share it with others. Great. And I think we have one more comment and then we're going to close. And somebody is saying, I already carve out time to lead my team in self-care activities. And so this person is going to take a little time for themselves as well. So this is an introvert, but saying, I do this for others, but I'm not really doing it for myself.
Oh,
Thank you everyone so much. These video sessions, what makes them so fun are the questions that you bring. So keep coming, keep bringing these questions. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Sandy.
thank you. My pleasure.
Thanks everyone. See you tomorrow at 11 Pacific. All the best.
Bye.